how bad it got. From that age, when you feel the whole world is against you, you just feel you never had a choice. But that didn't mean I stopped wanting more. More than just fighting over scraps of food after spending all day running from the law. More than just getting smacked on the back of the head because you mistook a data rod for a credit stick. It didn't mean that I didn't look at the sky every night and wonder what it was like in the furthest stars. It didn't mean I didn't look up at all the ships and wonder where they came from. There. You see that star? Its name is Gliese 667. I didn't find out its name until much later, but for a while, it was my favorite star. I'd stand here every night and wonder about it. How many planets did it have? Did people live there? Was it better than here? Mm-hmm. Born and raised. If you could call it raised. Mom and Dad were migrants. Came here to make a living from fishing from Voli 3's bountiful oceans. But then they discovered Aurora. Soon the fish that produced the drug was the only one people were willing to buy. And to make matters worse, it's a bottom feeder. Dwells at the very bottom of this planet's vast ocean. Mom and Dad sure didn't have the skills to catch that kind of fish. And pretty soon were struggling to feed themselves, let alone me. In the end, they gave me away. Destroyed? All of us have our downs. And ups. One thing you are right about, though. One little drug certainly did alter the path of my life. Usually you have to try it before that happens, but I didn't even get a say. How would I turn out if it wasn't for that fish, huh? Would I have joined the Navy? Maybe I'd be flipping burgers outside mast. It did alter it, though. My life. Whatever two-bit orphanage took me in probably closed up shop, because my earliest memories were on the streets. Fighting for every little scrap of bread I could get my little hands on. Always looking for somewhere warm to sleep. Unfortunately, picking food from people's tables got me noticed. It was then I realized real quick that credits were the best way to eat and not spend your night in a jail cell. That's when I started pickpocketing. Was never a single person when I wasn't stealing who gave me a second look. I'd ask for food, and they'd look away. Probably wondering when security was going to get rid of trash littering the promenade. It was only when I got good at grabbing cred sticks did somebody think I was worth a damn. His name was Guzzle. Every gang leader looked down on him, but Guzzle so badly wanted to be somebody. In the end, the best way to do that was to get children to do his work for him. He called us his little birds. After you noticed your cred stick was gone, so were we. Easy. I pretend I wasn't. Every chance I'd get, I'd put my mind somewhere else. Best way to do that was up here. It was up here that I thought about a life other than the one I had. That I would have a chance to explore the stars, go to new places, and have people that care about me, beyond where my hand can reach. I thought it would never come true. Until one day, it did. One day, I got caught by security, which was by no means uncommon. What was the size of my bond. Turns out I'd stolen from someone important. I sat there in the corner of my cell, brooding about all the work. I was very hungry, for a long time. I took the offer for something to eat, for a shower, for new clothes. Lots of new clothes. That week might have been the happiest I had ever felt. And it looked like they were going to leave. My heart dropped. That's when they offered to take me with them to Jemison. An education, for one thing. Something that every child deserves, the man said. I'd never been to school before. I could read people's faces in their body language like it was a book, but I couldn't read an actual book. Still remember their faces when I couldn't read the menu at the fancy restaurant they took me to. The guy saved me from embarrassment in front of the waiter by ordering everything on the menu. Almost ate it all, too. I laughed all night. Until I saw Guzzle at the corner of my eye. He followed me all that week. He was always there, watching. When that couple made that offer to take me with them, they had to leave to get ready. When I was finally alone, Guzzle ran up to me like some ravenous stray. The bad smell that lingered from my old life. When he started to talk to me, tell me to come home, grab my hand, I pulled away and didn't even look at him. Oh, how his face changed. How he became so apologetic for all the shit he put me through. But he only got a reaction with what he said next. Too bad for him. It wasn't the one he wanted. He told me life in New Atlantis wasn't for someone like me. Then I looked at him, stared at him right in the eye, practically spat in his face. I asked him, was it because I was worthless? Just like my parents thought? He stood up, didn't say anything. He smiled as I hated myself for letting him see me cry. He told me that when he found all the other little birds that had fallen from their nests, the only thing all of them knew how to do was tweet, chirp, and cry for a mama bird that had long since flown away. Unable to spread their wings, unable to even get up without his help. Then he said, "You, Robin, were different." When he found me, he said, I had already learned to fly. He said the only thing I needed was a direction, somewhere to fly to, and he was more than happy to provide it. Nearly everyone I come across, Robin, needs someone to get fed, to be kept warm, to be loved. You are different. You don't need anybody or anything. You are a survivor. I was furious. I ran away as fast as my legs could carry me. By the next morning, I had forgotten everything he said. I had forgotten him, and I was ready to forget Neon. There was a meeting I didn't want to be late for. It was going to be the last time I ever saw this place. But when I got there, something didn't feel right. The couple were there, but they didn't feel right. Their smiles were not warm. They were forced. It was the first time I'd ever seen a ship up close. The first time I was ever going to fly on one. But I couldn't keep my eyes off them. They were glancing around, at each other, at security, at me. Only when they caught me looking at them did they smile. And why did they have so little luggage, so little stuff? I wanted to ignore those feelings. These were just nerves. That I was scared to leave behind everything I had ever known. Scared to belong somewhere. Scared to be loved. But they kept building and building. That I knew if I just said something, they would all go away. And we'd fly to Jemison and everything would be happy ever after. Words are still as vivid in my mind as when I said them. That's not enough fuel to get to Jemison. It sounded so innocent. So throwaway. I had no idea that those words would change the course of my life. Immediately I felt something sharp in my back. He had a gun. The man had grabbed the new shirt he had bought me and started pushing me towards the ship. Wasn't the first time someone had grabbed me and I started throwing my body around. He lifted me, tried to throw me over his shoulder, but then I kicked out and hit a steam valve. The thing must have overheated or something because a blast of air hit him and threw him off the platform. It was the first person I had ever killed. But I didn't even have time to think as I knew she was only a few feet away. And just when I grabbed the gun he dropped, she was looming over me with a Varun dagger. She looked at the gun and stopped. This woman was someone I thought was from another world. One that was better than mine. Turns out, we were more alike than I thought. Where I stole and ultimately sold your most prized possessions, she was planning to steal and sell me. They were traffickers. They flew to the most remote, impoverished worlds, find lonely, desperate children without food, money, love. They take them, well, out of sight and out of mind of anyone that would even consider stopping them. Before these children knew it, they were then sold to the highest bidder. Then she started pleading with me, saying that she wanted to give up that life. Saying that the whole husband and wife was as much of an act as everyone else. She said that she was one of those children, made to do terrible things against her will. Saying that I freed her, that I was different, special, that we could work together. It all seemed true. I wanted it to be true, but even I couldn't convince myself when I could see her trying to hide her hand, sneaking towards the dropped blade. When she wrapped her hand around the hilt, I hoped with all my heart that she would drop it, that she wouldn't use it, that every word she said could come true. When she swung it towards me, she thought she had caught me by surprise. I had no choice in firing that bullet. But it was also the hardest thing I ever did. When she fell on the platform, I did too. Slumped alongside her, I just stared. Turns out, Guzzle was a few feet behind us, watching, as always. He rushed up to me, but then saw all those rocks on the woman's dress, each one from a different world. He started pulling them off her dress and placing each between his crooked teeth, wondering how much he could sell all these jewels for. All my dreams plucked away. After that, I never came up here anymore. Never looked up at the stars anymore. Never dreamed of the better life. And focused on living my own. Wasn't long before I graduated from a petty thief into what you might call a career criminal. My fortunes started getting better. And as a result, Guzzle's fortunes got better than that. I kept my head down, but Guzzle finally got the life he wanted. He finally was somebody. And started to flaunt all that success, all that newly acquired wealth. All those people that never paid him no mind. One night, some people did. They came in through the front door. They didn't care who knew. They looked at me and had no idea who I was. Then they went on. Guzzle stood no chance. They started beating him, even as he cried, even as he screamed. They wouldn't stop. He looked at me, tears in his eyes, begging. As I watched the life drain from them, I couldn't help but think he was right. I am a survivor. I am a survivor.